Hey guys, welcome to the first video on this channel, which is basically all about introduction to Webflow for beginners. I'm going to be posting about tips and tricks and ways to develop different stuff and use Webflow as a platform to design and deploy websites. So let's just jump straight into what we got for today. So you might be asking, what is Webflow? Well, Webflow is a no-code platform for web design, which means you could use zero to almost no code at all to design, develop, and deploy your websites using a platform like Webflow. Change this over here. So Webflow has been able to close the gap between what you can imagine, what you can prototype, and what you can bring to life. And this is because previously, before the advent of programs like Webflow, if you wanted to develop a really high-end website, you would have to get a whole team of UI UX designers, developers, programmers, bunch of people in the room just to get a really good website done, and that usually takes months, if not years, a couple of years to get done to really build a really high-end website. But Webflow has been able to close that gap between really what you can imagine and what you can get done, as far as you know how to get it done using Webflow and using zero to almost no code on this platform. So what are other like alternative CMS platforms that we have out there? I guess everyone should know WordPress. You know, WordPress is definitely one of the biggest guys out there. But with me, the only thing I have in WordPress is just using the plugins on WordPress. That's kind of like why I like Webflow better. Is almost everything you do on Webflow is native to Webflow, which means you're not using any CMS platforms or plugins in your CMS platforms to make something work. Everything is native in Webflow compared to WordPress, where you have to use a lot of plugins, and if a plugin is down or a plugin isn't maintained, that means your website gets down, or your website doesn't, you start having problems with your website. Next on the list is the big dog, Shopify. So Webflow is obviously got an e-commerce platform that you could use to launch e-commerce websites. But what I've realized is right now, natively, Webflow is not the best for e-commerce if you want to like do scalable e-commerce, like big e-commerce stores, because you have to use integrations like Zapier, Airtable, MemberStack, and a bunch of like other like platforms just to connect your website and make your website e-commerce friendly on Webflow. But it's totally doable in Webflow. But with Shopify, it's like literally a one-stop shop for all your e-commerce needs. So Shopify is still up there. We've got platforms like HubSpot, a CRM that you could use to build quick websites, funnels, or landing pages. There's Joomla, there's WooCommerce, which is like Shopify, but it's for e-commerce, but Shopify is more popular. And then we got the infamous Wix. I really love Wix. No. And then one I didn't put on here is Squarespace, I think. Yeah, Squarespace. So Wix, Shopify, Squarespace, they're all like under the same drag and drop category of CMS platforms that people use. And the only thing about these platforms is you're really limited to what they give to you. So there really isn't that much room for customization as you have on Webflow, where everything or almost everything you design on Webflow is completely customizable as you like it. Now, you might be asking, who is Webflow for? Is Webflow for me? So let me just say, before I made the slides, I initially thought Webflow was just for creatives and front-end developers, but I've come to see that Webflow is really for anyone. You might be a small business or a large-scale business, or you might be a business owner or a marketing director. Like if you're a creative or a front-end dev, absolutely, you might not use Webflow better. But basically what I thought about is this channel is going to be for those people who really aren't experts in web design, but still they want to use a platform like Webflow to develop and deploy their website. So I think Webflow is for like really anyone in like the business, or if you're like an entrepreneur that you want to do your websites yourself, or if you're an entrepreneur that wants to use Webflow to design and deploy websites for clients, because that's what I am. I'm a Webflow no-code developer, and then I co-founded a creative studio called Adapte. That's just a little bit of background on me. So like I said, the beauty of Webflow is you could design, build, and launch all on the same platform. There really is no need to export your code, put it on a different platform, link in PHP, CSS, HTML, JavaScript. Really no need for all of that. Webflow takes away all of that problem. Now you might be wondering, what's the power of Webflow and what makes it easy for you to use Webflow as a designer or use Webflow like from the standpoint of a client. So Webflow's got a designer, which is where you do all your backend stuff. And then Webflow's got an editor, which means if you were a graphic designer or a web developer and you design a website, you don't even have to give your client the designer access. You can give them the editor access, which means they can only change the text, images, links, and only really simple stuff, just like you would do on a drag and drop website. So Webflow has the really core designer function where you can do all the backend stuff, and then it's got this editor as well where you can only change a little bit of stuff. And I'll show you guys what that looks like in a minute right here once we get through the slides. So Webflow's got the CMS, which I absolutely love. I'm going to show you guys what the Webflow CMS is. And if you're wondering what a CMS is what makes your website dynamic instead of static. So if you've ever seen a blog page, right? If someone wants to create a new blog post, they don't go ahead and create a new page for a new blog post. They create a new field on like a CSV sheet, and then they export it into their website. But with Webflow, you can do everything natively, where you can create a new blog post without having to create a new page. If you did a CMS template for your project, you can create a new project without having to design a new page. All you just have to do is type in and input all the fields required to make the new page for you automatically through the Webflow CMS. Webflow's got Interactions 2.0, and this is basically using this is basically using CSS as, you know, some sort of interactions, which even takes out a lot of like using chunky JavaScript, you know, external code, importing like CDN, Cloudflares, or external code to make animations work. Like you can literally do all your animations natively inside of Webflow, and there's a lot of courses out there that even go in depth into using animations, and one I can plug in is Joseph Berry. If you go on awards, www.awards.com, I think you can find Joseph Berry interactions course for Webflow. But I would really recommend that before you start even taking any really advanced course on Webflow, you still learn the basics of what Webflow is about and how to move around and navigate the platform. And that's basically what I'm trying to, do with this channel. And on Webflow, you can natively deploy all your websites. All you gotta do is connect your domain inside of Webflow, and boom, in the snap of a finger, you could have your website live. And you might be wondering, what's the pricing on Webflow? I'll show you guys in a minute if we go to the website. Okay, so right here, Webflow's got two types of plan. You've got your site plan, and then you've got your account plan. And I'll explain what these two different type of plans mean. So the site plan is, if you already had a website built, this is the plan you use to get your website hosted, right? So if you just wanted a basic site, which means your website's static and you're not using any CMS, but I would really recommend you use CMS. Like you can see, it's best for a blog or other content-driven websites. So I'd really recommend learning how to use the CMS platform on Webflow because it's amazing. You can have up to 100 pages, up to 100 monthly visits, up to 2,000 CMS collections. So you're limited on the amount of CMS collections you can have. 2,000 form submission, about 1,000 per month, which really means you can do a lot with that. And then CDN bandwidth, about 200 gigabyte, because Webflow has its own native CDN that you can upload files to. And then you can use about 60 API requests per minute. So the CMS only $16. I think it's a pretty good one for anyone. And if you want more, you can upgrade to the business or just contact Webflow for the enterprise, and you can get like a custom plan. Now for Webflow's e-commerce plan, it's quite different from the regular website because Webflow e-commerce plan is a different feature on the Webflow platform. Now for the standard e-commerce plan, it starts at $29, and I think you get everything on this basic CMS, and then you're only paying about $13 more if I do my math right. I suck at math. And you can add up to 500 different items on your e-commerce platform, which means if you have a really big store, then you're really limited to what you can do. But there's definitely like I said, there's like a lot of plugins, or not even plugins, there's a lot of platforms that you could connect their API to Webflow, like Airtable, MemberStack, Zapier, and a bunch of others that you could use to increase this bandwidth that Webflow is giving you. So pretty much if you're doing like really crazy e-commerce stuff, then you would need to integrate other like APIs, as you would honestly with other platforms. A lot of people always connect Zapier with their websites. But yeah, that's the pricing for Webflow e-commerce. And now let's go down to the account plans. So account plan is basically like, for example, if you had Adobe Creative Cloud, what do you pay to get your Creative Cloud? So basically account plan is what you pay to have access to Webflow. This site plan is basically what you pay to have your site live. So you could use all of these functions. You could use the e-commerce function, you could use all of this, but if you don't pay for the e-commerce site plan, then the e-commerce site plan isn't going to be live. If you don't pay for the CMS site plan, your CMS content isn't going to be live. So that's basically what this site plans mean. But then the account plan is basically how you access the Webflow software or platform. And I'm on the Pro. That's what I started with, and that's just because I have a lot of projects. But honestly, if you're only building a website for yourself or for your business, you could literally start with a starter. But I would recommend going with a Lite, because then you have more advanced features on the Lite that lets you do a lot more stuff. So, and this is what all the account plans include: unlimited hosted projects, client billings, interactions, and animations. You get access to Android responsive templates. So there's a lot of free templates, and there's some premium templates that you could buy in Webflow, which I'll show you guys in a minute. 3D transforms, global swatches, custom fonts, flexbox, reusable symbols, and you might be wondering what all of that is, but that's what I'm here for. Yeah, so that's everything as far as Webflow's pricing. I really don't think it's a steep price. I think it's really fair and doable. Honestly, a lot of people might think it's crazy compared to what he had on Webflow on WordPress before, but I really think with what Webflow has to offer, the pricing is really doable. Let's see what else we have in here. Okay, we already talked about the pricing, the e-commerce. Yeah, so that's just it on the slides. So let's just jump straight. Let me take you guys into what Webflow looks like. So basically, to show you guys what this is really not my main Webflow account that I use for clients. So I just created this Webflow account right here just so I can show you guys what it looks like inside of Webflow. So right here, as you can see, this is where you have your dashboard, and this is where you can see all your website projects. On my other account, I've got like tons and tons of projects in here, but because this is a free account, I can only have 2 projects, if you remember. So this is one of the projects I created quickly just to show you guys what Webflow looks like. So if you see right here, there's actually, if you click on this tab, there's tutorials already inside of Webflow that you could use if there's something you get confused with. But like I said, this is what I'm here for. So if there's any questions you guys have, just drop a comment on the video, and then I'm gonna be reading through comments to think about what type of content I should create just for you guys that are really interested in learning how to use Webflow. So you've got your dashboard right here, showcase. So if you're really looking for inspiration, or you're looking for other free templates that you could use, if you go to showcase, right, if you see, we've got all sites and we've got Clonable. So if you click on all sites, this is where you can see like different sites or take inspiration from. Let's click this, let's see what he did. You know, take inspiration from what other people have done using on Webflow. Boom. Amazing animation. I love the way it all comes in. Amazing animation. So, with this, you can take inspiration from what other people have done. And then if you click clonables, right? So what clonable means is you can actually duplicate whatever website that's on Clonable and use it for your own project. So for example, this is one I was looking at last night. I think this is a really great project. So I'm just gonna click view project details, and you can see he already has 187 clones. So a lot of people are actually cloning this. I think this dude is a stud. So let's clone this project and let's name it Cookies Webflow. Let's see if that name is available. You can name your project whatever. It takes a minute to get cloned. I wonder if my internet is slow. Okay, there we go. Boom. So without even you having to do any work, because this dude has created this template for free, right? You're able to clone it, customize it as you wish, and even use it for your own projects completely for free. Which is why I think Webflow has really got a great community of people who do projects like this. So, ooh, love that animation. Boom, boom, boom. Right, look at that. Look at that. In all honesty, I look at this animations and I think this dude probably learned from Joseph Berry. So if you remember, I told you guys about Joseph Berry. Check him out at awards.com. And I'm really seeing some animations in here and they look exactly like Joseph. And that's basically the person's course I took that really helped me, fine tune my animation skills using Webflow. This really looks like Joseph Berry. I could just see Joseph written all over this, even with look at that navigation. So all of this could be created natively inside of Webflow. No templates, no plugins, all natively inside of Webflow. Now, just to show you guys, I know this is not in English, but if you wanted to customize all of this, if you went back into your Webflow, look, I could really write my name. I create you. Jeez, I can spell YouTube. Content. For. Just ignore the way I'm typing. I'm just writing whatever it is. And I okay. As easy as that, right? Boom. I already changed that to my content. So that's really the power of, clonables on Webflow. There's really amazing people that do a lot of amazing stuff on Webflow and they let you clone it. So let's get away from clonables and let me show you around everything else inside of Webflow. So right here, we've got designers. So aside just the clonables, if you want to take inspirations, there's a bunch of really amazing designers that's really done amazing stuff. I think actually, so this is Joseph. So boom, let's click on Joseph and you could really see a bunch of stuff that people have done. Let's open this live site on Webflow. That way you can see how much could be done with Webflow. Just look at that beautiful animation. Oh, I love the horizontal scroll type animation fill. So look, all of this could be done natively inside of Webflow. So you could go to designers and just look at the showcase that they've done. And yeah, this was the Joseph's course I was talking about right here that I took that really helped my animation skills. Just look at that. And we did all of this natively inside of Webflow. So this just really shows you like how much stuff could be done inside of Webflow. But just not to get you guys too excited, let's just go back into just showing you guys around. And Learn is basically where you have Webflow University, which I think is a really amazing feature where Webflow doesn't even ask you for anything. They give you all of this resources for free. So besides like YouTube content or whatever it is, if there's times where you need help with something and someone hasn't talked about it on YouTube or you can't find any content, you can try going into Webflow's University to explore different courses that they have for free. And Webflow just released this new one called Figma to Webflow that shows how you can export your designs using Figma into Webflow. So I think Webflow, like kudos to Webflow for creating Webflow University. And then there's resources like your templates. Let's click on that. So if you went to templates, this is where you could see a bunch of templates that you could buy. So let's browse all the templates, and you could, change what type of, let's say we're looking for real estate templates. Boom. You could click on this, you could preview the template. Okay, pages, let's go to the home view one, let's see what it looks like. So boom, literally like you don't even have to build anything from scratch. If you didn't want to, you could literally still buy templates on Webflow. But the problem is just knowing how to customize this template, and that's definitely going to be stuff I'll be talking about on this channel as well, is how to use templates, and we're going to be trying some. So look, there's a bunch of templates. I mean, there really isn't any like specific, sometimes you might not really find specific templates for what you're looking for, which is why it's nice to know how to customize or build designs yourself. But there's a lot of templates that you could just take and use. $79, $129, $79, you could use all these templates in here and then customize the template for yourself, just like we did for the Clonable website that we saw. So that's really great. They've got the template, and what I really love as well is like the Webflow community. I freaking love the Webflow community because there's always like a lot of blog posts, a lot of like FAQs, and just like a blog resource to where you could really talk to people and talk on the forums and see what people are talking about. So if there's something you're looking for that there isn't a video about, I can almost guarantee you someone has asked for this on the Webflow community before, and you could just Google it and check the forum and you could find your answers. I do that a lot to troubleshoot. So I really love I just think Webflow's got a really strong community. There's ebooks in there for free. Like there's just a lot of really free resources that Webflow give people that you could really use, which you should take advantage of if you want to do this. And here's the forum as well. I freaking love the Webflow forum. This is where I solve most of my problem. So just like Stack Overflow for developers, the Webflow forum is right there where you can ask people questions. You could see this person is asking, how can I customize my e-commerce emails? Which plan do I use for landing pages? Can I add mystery ghost interaction? So this is where people really come, and the Webflow community is a really strong one, and there's always people to help you and answer your questions as well. And then we've got the Webflow blog, which is shows you different stuff Webflow is working on, or posts that can really help you in your web design development, like web typography features. There's a bunch of stuff in the blog resources. And Webflow just released Webflow Support as well, with you can chat with someone down here on the bottom if you have a problem, which I think is really amazing. I think that's a really great feature for Webflow Support. So basically that's like everything as far as like Webflow interactions in your account. You could change your account settings if you want it to have a public profile, and you could change your name. You could add your personal project domain. You could add, if you're a freelancer, you could add, if you're available for hire, write up a bio, just like the other designers you saw. And you could customize your profile and make your profile live. And oh, I just went public. Well, I'll change that later. And then you've got teams, and if you were working with a team, which means you can actually collaborate on different projects on Webflow using teams. So if you're a bigger corporation, or you're a big agency, or you just want to have multiple people working on your project, you can actually add people as team members, but you need a different type of plan for that. So that's basically everything as far as like the first interface, and then I'll show you guys in here what it looks like inside of Webflow, which is the juicy part. I'm not going to go into in-depth on this today, but I'll just show you guys real quick. So basically on Webflow, you've got the left side, which I honestly would regard this as your HTML, and then you've got this right side, which, to make it simple, I'm gonna call this your CSS. So right here in your HTML, instead of you writing HTML section, HTML container, like bracket grid, you just pick this. You can drag and drop all of this. So if you wanted to do a div, you don't have to type the command /div or whatever it is. All you have to do is grab a div, and boom, you have a div block right in there already. So this is basically your HTML sides of things. You've got your heading, your paragraph, your text, images, forms, and then components, which is what I love about Webflow, is they've actually made some pre-made components for you in here as well. And if you click on layouts, you can see some components that's already been made. I can show you guys one of this. Let me click on this so I don't mess up. Okay, so if we wanted this hero, boom, that's already been created for you. So you see Webflow's already got like pre-made components where I can put a hero image like this. And then, edit this YouTube. And you can change. So basically, so just to show you guys, so this is basically the HTML, and then the CSS is on this part. For example, like you've got your display settings, your padding, your padding, margin. If you wanted to add padding to it, if you wanted to add some margin to it, add some padding, whatever it is. This is where you wanted to change the size. I don't use pixels, I use EM. So if I wanted to be just 10 EM, I just want it to be 5 EM, 1 EM, this is really where you can change the width of a lot of stuff. I'm just gonna reset this. So right here, I'm just gonna change the color to white, because I already have pre-made colors in here that I made myself. So like I said, this is your CSS, where you can style your HTML stuff that you pulled up on here. If you wanted to change your background of your button color, let's say black or white, or whatever it is you want to change it, you can just come in here and change all of this. So basically this is where you have your CSS, and I'm not going to go into deep as to how all of that works now. So this is the designer of Webflow. If you remember, I said earlier, this is the designer, and I'm going to show you guys what the editor looks like. So if you're working with a client, for example, you don't want them having access to the back end, that way they don't mess anything up. I'll show you guys what the editor looks like that you could give to your client. So on the editor part of Webflow, you can only change text, change images. Oh, just because I clicked on an image. So look at this, I could literally change this to don't. Jeez, I can't type right now. What's happening? Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe. So without having to see all of that back end, Webflow designer, your HTML, CSS, you can really give this to a client, and they could change their copy or images anytime if they wanted to. You see, you could change all of this text, and you could change all of those text and images if you wanted to. So like this one, let's see if I have, what do I have in here? I don't know what I have in my images. Oh, picture of me. updates. What's happening? I think I have a really big file. That's why it's taking a minute. But like that's pretty much all you can do inside of like your Webflow editor is change. Oh, I haven't published it. That's why I forgot to publish it on my back end. So let's go back in here. I'm kind of like all over the place. So this is basically your, like I said, HTML part, your CSS, and this is your navigator. This is how you navigate through your website. You know, check out your nav, see what's inside of each block, and we can go more in depth into this later as well. And if you wanted to publish your website on Webflow, it's easiest clicking this. See, I published a month ago because I've had this on forever. Boom. And then your website gets published live. So I think the change we made, we should be able to see it now. If I scroll to the bottom. Oh, there you go. So if we wanted to edit site, let's see. So this is the Webflow editor, if you remember. Let me try to change in this image on the editor. Oh, see, the image max JPEG file is 4 megabytes, so that's too big. So I usually recommend optimizing all your images. That way you decrease your page load time significantly. If you have really large images, that slows down your website and what it looks like. But it's as easy as posting this, and you can use the Webflow.io domain. And then if you have a custom domain that you want, you need a plan for this. Obviously, I don't have a free plan yet. I'm using a free plan yet, so you're gonna have to subscribe to a plan. Then you can connect a custom domain to this, and you know, there's all of this other. So actually, I can show you guys. You've got your general, which is where you can change the name of your project. You can change your subdomain, your fave icons, your web clips, change your time. You can add password and block certain content on your website. You can't create logins or signups straight up inside of Webflow for like unique users. But if you wanted to like put a password on a content and give it to people before they can access that content, you could like password gate a particular content with one password natively inside of Webflow. But you need a software or a platform like MemberStack to create logins or member profiles. You've got your hosting, you've got your editor right here, which is where you can add someone else as a collaborator to edit. So this is where you add your client. Billing, you could actually bill a client through this. So you could set up client billing, which means Webflow can collect your invoice to you and Webflow can send you your money straight to your bank account if you wanted to. So Webflow helps you even with billing, which I think is amazing. Like, not a lot of platforms have that. This is where you tuck up your SEO, site maps, Google site verification, canonical tags, all of that's good stuff. If you don't want to connect your Webflow to a different CMS platform to collect your forms, Webflow collects your forms in here as well. But I recommend using like an external one. If you wanted to add custom fonts like I did, if you remember, I had a custom font in there. You can install custom fonts simply by clicking upload. And you can install custom fonts on your Webflow, your Webflow projects. Webflow actually creates backups for you, crazy. So if you've ever made a mistake on something, then also it's telling me I need a subscription to access all of my other backups. So you know, that's why I said you got to get a subscription to really access the full potential of Webflow. But Webflow really makes a backup for almost everything you do. So if you made a mistake on something, you can always go back, preview what it is, and then restore a backup if you want, which I think is really nice. And then you could add your Google Analytic code, Google Optimize, Google Maps, Facebook Pixel, which is really important as well. And you could add, this is where you add your APIs like Zapes, if you wanted to do Zapier, Airtable, Adobe APIs, whatever it is. And then you could even add some custom code as well inside of Webflow if you wanted to use, so we need a paid plan. So I can show you guys in a different video how to use custom code, but that's pretty much just a tour around Webflow, what Webflow looks like. And I hope you guys definitely, you know, maybe gain something from this or like learn something new. So just because this channel is still new, I'm not exactly sure what type of content you guys might be interested in. So feel free just to drop in the comment below on what type of content you're going to want to see, or what type of problems or questions you have that you're dealing with Webflow. If you're new using to Webflow, if you've been using Webflow for a while, and I'll try to create content around that just to make sure that I'm definitely helping people out there who have no clue how to use Webflow. We're really confused on what Webflow is like. But besides that, thank you guys for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.